We begin the Gemara today on Daf Chafalef Amud Aleph, the top line of the Amud. Levi ikla leBavel. Levi came to Bavel, and when was it? B'chatzar b'Tishrei. On the day that in Bavel, they were counting it as the 11th day of Tishrei. Amar, he said to the people in Bavel, Basim tafshila, the Bavloi. The food that's being cooked in Bavel is so gishmak, but it's b'yoyim rabba de marava. This is on the day that's Yom Kippur in Eretz Yisrael. In other words, he came from Eretz Yisrael and he was reporting to them that in Eretz Yisrael, the Elul that year had an extra day. So because of that, the day that they thought is Yud Aleph Tishrei was really Yud Tishrei, the day of Yom Kippur. Amri lei, so they said to Levi, so Asid, testify for us what you heard, and we'll know to keep Yom Kippur today. Amalahu, so he said to them, I can't testify. Lo shamaiti mipi bezdin mekudesh. I did not hear from Bezdin that they said mekudesh. So since I didn't hear from them, so I can't testify. Okay, so he couldn't testify for them anything. And Rashi here brings, we're going to see in the Gemara Namud Beis, that usually the shluchim that go out to tell everyone about when the new Chodesh is, they didn't actually have to hear from Bezdin that they said Mekudesh. They even went out the night before, besides 2 of the months. For Nisan and Tishrei, the shluchim that go out must remain there to hear the Bezdin saying Mekudesh. And therefore, if they don't, they can't go and let people know that the new Bezdin is Mekudesh. So Levi, here we're talking about Tishrei. So Levi left Eretz Yisrael before he heard Bezdin say Mekudesh. So he says, if so, I can't testify for you. That's the takon of Chazal. Okay, so now all the Rishonim asked the question, Taisus here asks the question, but he knew the fact though. He knew the fact that this was the day that was Yom Kippur, according to the Kiddush of the Bezdin in Eretz Yisrael. So how could he allow the people in Chutz La'aretz, in Bavel, to eat in the day, which is really Yom Kippur? If you eat on Yom Kippur, it's a chiyuv kares. It's a serious thing. So whether he heard, whether he didn't hear, but B'Payal Mamish, he knew the truth. So Taisus over here says that even though he knew the truth, but if he can't report, if he didn't hear from Bezdin Mekudesh, so then the Bezdin in Chutz La'aretz has the right to establish the day of the month until they find out the truth from Eretz Yisrael. They have the right to make the day of what they know. And Taisus brings here the Gemara that it says later, Afilim Mutoin, Afilim Shaygigin, Afilim Mezidin, that when you establish the month in the wrong time, but as long as that's what you know now, it becomes established. So therefore, in Chutz La'aretz, if Levi is not testifying what he heard from Eretz Yisrael, so then they have to follow what they knew in Chutz La'aretz.
Did he eat the day?
And well, Levi himself probably didn't. Right, he came from Eretz Yisrael, but so that's another question that Rishonim ask. How did he travel? He came before Yom Kippur. He arrived on the day that in Bavel was Yud Tishrei, and for him it was still Tes Tishrei. He arrived before, even though it says here that he arrived b'chatzah b'tishrei. But the Rishonim say one or two things. Either the Gemara means that he commented about this on chatzah tishrei, but he really arrived before, or they say even if you're going to say that he arrived on chatzah b'tishrei, you're going to have to say that he was already within the tchum by the time Chatzah b'Tishrei came, and he just came in from within the Tchum. But obviously he didn't travel out of the Tchum because he knew this was Yom Kippur already. Yeah.
Not everybody can hear from the Bezdin Mekudesh.
What says? Okay.
Yeah,
okay, but Levi. True. Okay, so Rashi here explains that the reason why didn't he wait? He knew he was going to Bavel. So if he knew he was going to Bavel, he could have waited. But no, he didn't wait. He went before. He left before, and he didn't hear Mekudesh. Sagt Gemara weiter, Machres Rabbi Yochanan would announce, Kol heicha de matu shluchei Nisan v'le matu shluchei Tishrei. Anywhere where the shluchim of Nisan arrive there, but the shluchim of Tishrei don't arrive there. So you have to realize that for Tishrei they have less days to travel, because you have Rosh Hashanah they can't travel, and you have Yom Kippur they can't travel. So therefore Nisan, they're getting further locations than Tishrei. So in such places, Lev du Trei Yoimeh, they should make 2 days, both for Nisan and for Tishrei. Why? Gezeira Nisan not to Tishrei. Because it's a Gezeira. If they're going to, by Nisan, they're not going to keep 2 days, and only Tishrei, they might come to not keep 2 days Tishrei either. So in order for it to be the same, they made a Gezeira that they have to keep 2 days, both for Nisan and Tishrei. This is Rabbi Yochanan's takana. Rabbi Evu bar Nagri, Rabbi Chia bar Rabba, these were 2 Talmidim of Rabbi Yochanan. Iklu lahu asre, they found themselves in this place, which was such a situation. The Havamot shluchei Nisan, the shluchim of Nisan would arrive there, but v'leimot shluchei Tishrei, the shluchim of Tishrei did not arrive there. And v'avdi chad yoimeh. So because it was Nisan and they had the shluchim already came and they knew when the yontif is, so they kept 1 day. So what happened? V'loi Amru lahu v'loi midi. Rabbi Eva bar Nagri and Rabbi Chia bar Rabbi didn't comment. They didn't say anything about this. They allowed them to keep one day. Shamar Rabbi Yochanan heard about this. Ve'ikbid, and Rabbi Yochanan was upset with them. Amalu, he said to them, his students, did I not tell you, a location where the shluchim of Nisan do arrive there, but the shluchim of Tishrei don't? They have to keep 2 days, even Nisan. Gzeire Nisan not to Tishrei. In order not to confuse the two, you have to keep always 2 days. Another point, the Gemara, Rave have a rogel. Rave was accustomed to have a Yosef betanise trei yaime. He would fast Yom Kippur for 2 days, 48 hours that is. Right? Even though this is not the halacha, but that's what Rava would do. So what happened? Zimna Chada, one time, it ended up like him, that he fasted 1 day. And then they found out after the day that he fasted that really that year they delayed Elul a day, and the Yom Kippur was the next day. Rav Nachman, Yosef Tanisa, Kula Yom. It was 1 year that Rav Nachman sat and fasted the entire day of Yom Kippur, Yom Kippur, the whole day of Yom Kippur. And then La'orta, the night, Matzi Yom Kippur, before he even got a chance to eat, Asahu Gavre, this individual arrives, and Amalei, he says to Rav Nachman, Lamacha Yom Rabbe b'Marava. Tomorrow is Yom Kippur in Eretz Yisrael. So you let him know when the real Yom Kippur is. Amalei, so Rav Nachman says to him, Mehecha at. From where are you? So he told him some name of a place in Eretz Yisrael. Amalei Midim Maharia. Amalei Dam Tehei Achrisai. This was like a play on the word of the place that he's from. It has in it the words of Dam. Dam Tehei Achrisai. Blood will be the end of this individual. And Rav Nachman is referring to himself. In other words, you came just before I ate, and now I have to fast 48 hours, and it's very hard for me to fast. So he's saying about himself that because of you, my blood will be spilled, or because of you, I have to fast 48 hours. Kari Alei, Rav Nachman said about this person, this pasik, Kalam Hoyerot Feinu. The ones that are chasing us are reaching us very easily. In other words, what Rav Nachman was hinting to is, had this person just come a little bit later, I would have been able to eat, break my fast, and then maybe I would continue fasting if I found out that it's Yom Kippur in Eretz Yisrael. But he came so quickly, and therefore he had to continue fasting, and he fasted 48 hours. So here we see again this point, that Rav Nachman, you would think Rav Nachman should be happy about the fact that he found out what Yom Kippur is. He saved him from eating a Yom Kippur. But no, Rav Nachman was sort of upset, because if in Golus, in Bavel, they established the Yom Kippur on a different day, so until you find out what it is in Eretz Yisrael, they have to follow what they established, what the Bezdin established in Chutz La'aretz. Shalach le Ravuna bar Ravun le Rave, Ravuna bar Ravun sent to Rave, Kat Chozis, the Moshchat, Tkufas Tevis, Ad Shitza B'Nissen. When you see that the Tkufa of Tevis is going until the 16th day of Nisan. So in other words, usually the Tkufa of Tevis would start, let's say, the Shchaydish Tevis, and then it would go until the Shchaydish Nisan, or maybe even sometimes before. But over here, it began in the middle of Tevis, and it goes all the way to the 16th day of Nisan. Avra lahi shaita. So that means that year, you have to make it a Shana Muberes. You have to add a month to the year. In order that the Chaydish of Nisan should be in Aviv, in the next season, in the season of spring. And don't be worried about the fact that there's an argument about this, whether you should do it or not. The Chsiv, because the Pasuk says, Shamer es Chaydish Aviv. You have to make sure that the Chaydish of Nisan should be Aviv, should be springtime. Shmoyer Aviv shall tkufe shehei b'Chaydish Nisan. That Nisan has to be springtime. So therefore you have to make it Shana Mu'beres. So Rashi, Taisav explained, you would think that maybe there would be another option. If it comes out that the new Tkufa of Nisan only begins on Tezayin Nisan, so maybe what you could do is add 1 day to Adar. If you add 1 day to Adar, so then Tesvav Nisan, which is the first day of Pesach, will already be in the Tkufa of Nisan. So if the whole point is that Pesach should be in the Tkufa of Nisan, just add 1 day to Adar. Why do you have to add an entire month? So the Gemara is saying is, no, that's not good, because it's not enough that Tesvav Nisan should be in the Tkufa of Nisan. You have to have the whole first half of the month as well. Yudalit, or at least part of the first half of the month. At least Yudalit should also be in Nisan. So it's not going to be good to just add a month. That's one point. Another point, Taisa says, what the chiddush of this Gemara is, usually when it comes to making a Shana Mu'beres, they never made a Shana Mu'beres based on one factor. We'll see later in the Gemara, or it's actually also in Sanhedrin, the Gemara discusses, there are different things that they took into account when they had to make a Shana Mu'beres. So usually it had to be a combination of factors. But here the Gemara is saying, when it comes to this reason, which is the fact that the first half of Nisan is not in Chaydish Aviv, you could rely just on that reason alone to make it a Shana Mu'beres. You don't have to combine any other factors. That's what he's telling him. Amul Rav Nachman said to those people that travel on the sea, so you individuals that you don't know when the new month is established. So how are you going to know? You have no shluchim that are going to come to you either. So when you see that you have a full moon and you see that the moon sets in the morning when the sun comes up, in other words, the moon sets pretty late. You can see the moon very close to the morning by Iru Chamre. So now you know that it's the middle of the month and you have to already get rid of your chametz. So the Gemara asks in this, what does this mean? Amos Mishlam B'chameser. When does the moon become full and it sets very late? That's already Tezvav Nisan. But Va'anam Besim Mavarinan. We have to get rid of the chametz from Yudalit, from a day before. So how could you say that you wait until the moon is full and it goes down late? That is the Gemara Lididhu de Megalalu Alma. People that are traveling on the sea and the whole world is open for them. In other words, they could see the whole horizon. So Marbesa Mishlam. The truth is that the moon becomes full and the moon sets late already from Marbesa. The time when the moon is totally full is actually not Tezvav. It's between the night between Yudalid and Tezvav. So already on Yudalid, they can see the moon setting very late in the day, so they'll know that that's the time when they have to burn the chametz. Sagt the Mishnah al Shnei Chadoshim. We had this Mishnah before. Al Shnei Chadoshim Echal L'Nes HaShabbos. For 2 months of the year, the Eidim that come to let us know that they saw the new moon, they could be Mechal Shabbos. Al Nisan Val Tishrei, for the month of Nisan and for the month of Tishrei. Shebehen Shluchim Yotzin L'Surya. In those months, the Shluchim go out to Surya and to all other places. Ubehen Mesaktin Es HaMoedes. And then in these months, we set up the Yomim Tovim to be in the right time. All the Yomim Tovim are dependent in these 2 months. Even Shavuos, an Iyar, comes from the Yom Tov, comes from Nisan, from Pesach. So that's why over here, you have to be Machal Shabbos. When the Beis HaMikdash was standing, Machal Af Al Kulan. The Eidim would be Machal Shabbos for all the Yamim Tovim Mipnei Takanas HaKarbon, in order to be able to be makriv the carbon of Rosh Chodesh in the right time. Dr. Gemara Al Beis Chadashim. What does it say in the Mishnah? There are 2 Chadashim. Right, so the Mishnah is talking not only about when you can be Machal Shabbos for the Eidim that are coming to testify, but it's also talking about when the Shluchim go out to let people know about the new month. So it said 2 Chadashim. For the Gemara, regarding the Shluchim that are going out, only 2 months, V'sulai. The Shluchim do not go out any of the other months of the year. I'll ask you a contradiction from what we learned in the previous Mishnah. What did it say over there? Al Vav Chadashim HaShluchim Yaitzin. The Shluchim go out on 6 months of the year, right? We learned before, you have Tisha B'Av and you have other months of the year that the Shluchim go out as well. So why does it say here only 2? So Abaye answers as follows. Al Kulon, regarding the other months of the year, the 6 months of the year, Shluchim Yotzin Mi Be'erev. The Shluchim could leave the Bezdin from the night before. What this means is, even before they actually heard from the Bezdin saying the Kuddush, they could already leave the night before. And Rashi explains that either means in a case where they know that the Eidim already saw the new moon. Let's say it's the night of between the 29th and the 30th, and they know that the Eidim saw the new moon, and therefore they know that tomorrow Bezdin is going to be Mekadosh Chodesh. So therefore they can already leave the night before. Or if it's the next day, let's say it's from the 31st day, it's already the night going into the 31st day. So they know Bezdin is going to be Mekadosh Chodesh tomorrow because you can't wait any further. So they can go already the night before. They don't have to hear Bezdin being Mekadosh Chodesh. That's regarding all the months of the year. But when it comes to Nisan and Tishrei, on Nisan and Tishrei, Ach Yishmu Mipi Bezdin Mekodesh. They can't go out until they actually hear from Bezdin saying Mekodesh. And Rashi explains the reason is because in one of these cases, we're concerned that maybe something will change. Because Nisan and Tishrei has the Yomim Tovim, so over there, it is possible that something should happen, and for some reason, Bezdin should not be Mekadosh Chodesh the next day, even though the night before they already see the Eidim are here, and Bezdin is set to be Mekadosh Chodesh tomorrow. But it's possible something should happen. So by all the other Chadashim, when there's no Yomim Tovim, so we go after the Roiv. We're not concerned that something is going to happen. But by Nisan and Tishrei that has Yomim Tovim, here we are concerned about it, and therefore they have to actually wait to hear Bezdin saying Mekudesh. Rashi says an interesting thing here, that it's for this reason also that there's a difference regarding being Mechal Shabbos. In the Mishnah, it connects the Chil Shabbos to the fact that the Shluchim go out in Nisan and Tishrei in this time, that they only go out by day after they heard from the Bezdin Mekudesh. So Rashi says that basically, when it comes to Nisan and Tishrei, if the Eidim are not going to be Machal Shabbos, so the Shluchim going out to notify people are going to lose time. They're going to lose time to be able to travel. Why? Because these Shluchim can't go out until they actually hear Mekudesh from the Bezdin. So let's say it's a Shabbos, and the Eidim are not going to come on Shabbos, so the Shluchim can't leave Matzah Shabbos. They didn't hear yet Mekudesh. They're going to have to wait until Sunday, until they hear the Mekudesh from the Eidim on Sunday, from the Bezdin on Sunday. So they're going to lose a day. Right? Why are they going to lose a day? Let's say Nisan, right? So if they would have left Matzah Shabbos and Bezdin was already Mekadesh from the day before, so that would mean that if Rosh Chodesh was on Shabbos, so then the first day of Pesach would be on Shabbos as well, right? That's how it works. If Rosh Chodesh is Shabbos, the first day of Pesach is Shabbos. Then they can travel even on Erev Pesach. They have that day to travel. But if you delay it another day and Rosh Chodesh is on a Sunday, that means that Erev Pesach is Shabbos. If Erev Pesach is Shabbos, they lose 24-hour period to be able to travel. So therefore, the Eidim have to be Machal Shabbos in order that the Shluchim should be able to travel further. On the other hand, when it comes to all the other months of the year, since the Eidim could leave already from the night before, they're not losing any time. Because the Shluchim that go out are not allowed to be Machal Shabbos. So they could always leave on a Matzah Shabbos. If the Eidim would come and be Machal Shabbos today, and Bezdin would say Mekudesh today, when would the Shluchim leave? Matzah Shabbos. If the Eidim are not going to come today, the Eidim are going to say their Eid is tomorrow, the Shluchim could already leave the night before anyways. The Shluchim could go out a day before. So either way, the Shluchim were able to go out a day before. So therefore, over here you're not losing any time, and that's why you're not Machal Shabbos. That's how Rashi explains it. So these two things are actually connected.
Can be Kaddish to the Rosh Chodesh on Shabbos.
Yes. Tanya Nami Hachi. So this pshat we learned in the Brayse as well. It says Al Kulon Yotzin Mi Be'erev, that regarding all months of the year, the Shluchim can leave from the night before, but on Nisan al Tishrei, regarding Nisan and Tishrei, Achi Yishmim Bezdin Mekudesh, they can only go out once they actually hear from the Bezdin the words Mekudesh. Tana Rabbanan, we learned in the Brayse, Minay Shemachal Alenis Shabbos. How do we know that the Eidim could be Machal Shabbos to come and testify for the new month? Talmud Loima Elam Moyadei Hashem Asher Tikreisim B'Moyadam, that the Moyadim, the Yomim Tovim, have to be set in the right time. So b'moyadim means it pushes off even Shabbos. Yachol, I would think, Shem Shemachal and Achis Gachu. So just like it could be Machal Shabbos in order to sanctify the new month in the right time, to set the Yomim Tovim in the right time, Kach Machal Achis Kaimu. So too the Shluchim that go out to notify people, they could also be Machal in order to let people know that it should be fulfilled, they should keep the Yom Tov in the right time. To call the name of the Yom Tov, which means al kriyasam at mechalal. You could be mechalal to establish that it should be the right time, but viat mechalal al kiyuman. But you can't be mechal Shabbos in order to keep the yontif in the right time. For that, the shluchim are not allowed to be mechal Shabbos. The next thing it said in the Mishnah, there would be mechal Shabbos also for the takana of the carbon. But this was only in the time of the Beis HaMikdash. So the Gemara brings the Brayse that explains this. In the beginning, there would be Mechal Shabbos for all the months. But Meshachar Beis HaMikdash, when the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, Amalem Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, V'chiyesh carbon. Is there a carbon that you have to bring on a Shchaydish? Why being Mechal Shabbos for any Shchaydish? Iskinu Shalayim Mechalin Ella Al Nisan V'Al Tishrei B'Vad. So he instituted that you could only be mechalal for Nisan and Tishrei. Whether you have a moon that was seen clearly, everybody saw the new moon. So you think to yourself, it was seen so clearly, so why should we be mechal Shabbos and come and let people know about the new moon? Everybody saw it. Whether it was not seen clearly, mechal and all of us are Shabbos. Either way, you're mechal Shabbos. Rabbi Yossi says, no, if it was seen clearly, hey, Machal all of us are Shabbos. You're not Machal Shabbos, because you could rely on the fact that Bezdin will find Eidim that saw it. There was an incident, there was more than 40 pairs of Eidim that came to testify. And Rabbi Kiva held them up in the city of Lud, and he said, hey, you don't have to all go. So many witnesses, you don't have to all be Machal Shabbos. Shalach le Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Gamliel sent to Rabbi Kiva and he said to them, if you're going to hold back when you have Rabbim, when you have many of the Eidim going, so then you're going to cause them to stumble in the future. They're going to say in the future, look, last year we tried to go, and there were others that saw as well, so we're not going again. So then no one's going to end up going. So how could you hold them back from going? Sagt the Gemara, my mashme the high alil lishne de megalihu. Where do we see that this word alil means that it's open, that you can see the levana clearly? Because the pasuk says, Imrais Hashem Amarais Tahairais. The words of the Eibishter are pure words. Kesef Tzaruf, the word that they're like silver that is refined. Ba'alil, and it's pure, it's clear. La'ada, it's pure on the earth. Mezukak Shivasayim, and it's purified 7 times, which means it's purified 49 times over again and again. Okay, so we see here the word Ba'alil means that it's purified and it's clear. So because the Gemara brought this pasuk, it brings a machlokes regarding this pasuk. Rav and Shmuel. There was an argument between Rav and Shmuel. Chadama, one of them said, Nun shari bina nivru ba'olam. There were 50 gates of wisdom created in the world. And v'kula nitnu l'Moshe chasa echad. Moshe Rabbeinu got all 50 gates of wisdom, missing one. In other words, 49. Shenema, there's another pasuk that says, V'tachasreyu me'at melikim. Just a little bit he was missing. So Rashi says that this is learned out from the previous pasuk, Mezukak Shivasayim. Shivasayim is 7 times 7, the 49 gates of wisdom, and that's what Moshe Rabbeinu received. Now, the machlokes here is, how about Shlomo Melech? Did he get to the level of the Chachma of Moshe Rabbeinu? Bikish keheles limtze divrei chayfetz. Keheles, which is Shlomo Melech, had a desire. What was his desire? So one opinion says, Bikish keheles li is Moshe. He wanted to be as wise as Moshe. Yatsa Baskal v'amrullah Baskal came out and said, Ukasev Yoshev Divrei Emes. It says in the words of truth of Torah that v'leikam Navi be Yisrael Moshe. There's no Navi that rises to the level of Moshe, so you can't have the level of wisdom like Moshe Rabbeinu. That's one opinion. So Shlomo Melech did not reach to the wisdom of Moshe. Chadama, but another opinion is B'Neviim leikam. Amongst Neviim, there's no one that came to the level of Moshe. But B'Melachim come, amongst the kings, there is someone, there's Shlomo Melech, that came to the level of Moshe. So Elamani Mekayim Bikesh Keheles Limtze Divrei Chayfetz. So what is it that he desired that he did not get? Bikesh Keheles, what Shlomo Melech was asking for is Lodun Dinin Shebelev, that he should have the ability to judge people by judging their heart, by judging by the heart. Shaloi Be'edim, without any witnesses, V'Shaloi Basra, without any warning. Yatsa Baskal v'amrullah, Baskal came out and told him, V'kosav Yosher Divrei Emes. It says in the straight and true words of Torah, Apishnai Eidim, that it has to be only with Eidim. You can't just judge by heart. You can't just judge without Asra. The next thing it said in the Mishnah, Maisa she'avru Yosem Arbaim Zug v'ikvan Rabbi Akiva. There were 40 pairs of Eidim that came, and Rabbi Akiva held them up. So the Gemara now brings a different version. Tanya, we learned Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda said, Chas v'shalem she'Rabbi Akiva ikvan. God forbid, Rabbi Akiva was not the one that held them up. Rabbi Akiva knew better not to hold them up. Ela she'Zefer, Zephyr, which was the name of an individual, Reisha shel Geder. He was the leader in the city of Geder, Ikvan. He is the one that held them up. And V'shalach Rabbi Gamliel, and Rabbi Gamliel sent V'hayridu migdulasai, and he demoted him from his position, this person Zephyr. So some of Farshim say that this Bryce is not arguing with our Mishnah. When it says in our Mishnah that Rabbi Akiva held them up, it's because Rabbi Akiva knew of this, and he did not protest. So therefore Rabbi Gamliel was upset with Rabbi Akiva. Why you knew about this? Why didn't you protest about this? But others do say that it is a machlekes between our Mishnah and the Brisa. Our Mishnah says it was Rabbi Akiva that held them up, and the Brisa is saying, no, it can't be Rabbi Akiva, it was Zephyr. Zephyr is the one that held them up.